Hello and welcome to Garblag Games. Tonight we have the session 0 for our new Daggerheart Actual play, the Mechanolith. I'm joined by 3 of my 5 intended collaborators in this story. We have some internet problems and we have some access problems with some of our players. So Aaron and Rob aren't with us right now, but they will be joining us, don't worry. And tonight we're going to make some characters. We're going to talk about the rules a bit. And we're going to talk about our campaign frame, the Mechanolith, which is of my own devising. Cool. Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm well, yes. Got a little bit of a sneak peek. I actually played some Daggerheart on Monday. So
you beat me by 2 days. I was playing last night, so yeah. Cool. And didn't you say no one rolled with hope?
One person managed one roll with hope all night. All of the other rolls with fear.
We'll talk about dice mechanics in a bit as well.
You'll find out, yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you for asking, and thank you very much for having me. Excited to be here. I haven't tried the game yet. Had a little poke around the character creation system, and it looks very exciting. So can't wait.
Awesome. Cool. And last but not least, Millie! Hello.
How you doing?
I'm alright. How are you doing?
Yeah, sorry, thanks. I'm good, cheers. Forgotten what I'm doing.
What happens when you put 4 GMs in a room?
You're all like,
who's in charge? I don't know.
Who's in charge?
I don't know.
I'm not in charge. I haven't got OBS open, so I mustn't be in charge.
Yeah. I was just saying I need another couple of screens for all the stuff that's going on today. But yeah, we will do our best to... I'm going to show a bit of demi-plane in Roll20. We're going to show a bit of the PDF. And the guys will be making characters as we go along. And there's all the fun character creation stuff of lots of questions and collaborative world building with Daggerheart. So that's all really cool. So what I thought I would do is first off just talk a little bit about how Daggerheart works, because that might be useful for people when they're starting to build their character and they're making choices, looking at abilities that say things like spend hope or mark a stress, and they don't know what those things mean. So with a little bit of magic, we're going to slide over to our other screen, where we can see this is the demi-plane imported character sheet to Roll20. So I don't know if you guys want to go on to... You can go on Demiplane or Roll20 and make your character in there. Either way, that's fine. I can access them from here and show our viewers what characters you make as we go along. I've got a kind of example character that I just kind of whacked in quickly. Just to talk about some of the elements of the character and for us to sort of showcase it.
The good old Hugh man.
Yes. A human guardian. Yeah, very, very standard. Human fighter. But yes. Cool. So, Daggerheart is... I see people talking in chat about what it's very similar to. So it's a bit like Cypher system. It's a bit like D&D and PBTA had a little baby and made Daggerheart. But primarily, Daggerheart is a fiction-first game, a narrative game, where everything you do is based around the fiction, the collective fiction, the story we're building together at our little digital table. And you have to maintain the fiction, respect the fiction, move the fiction on. Every time there's a roll, every time there's a choice, the story changes, things move on. There are no dead rolls. There's no I rolled and nothing happened. So I will be asking people to explain what their characters are doing before they do it. And instead of saying things like, I'm going to jump in because I've got a +4 to this thing, players have to be very descriptive about how their characters are acting before they get there. That's kind of like one of the core elements of Daggerheart that I think we will find maybe a little bit different. Some of us won't, some of us will, to how we're normally playing, and there's a whole load of other things, and we'll discover those as we talk through the character sheet. The character sheet's a good place to start. We can have a look at that and talk about how things work in Daggerheart. So, like Dungeons & Dragons and lots of other Dungeons & Dragons rip-offs, they've got 6 stats, or traits, as they're called in Daggerheart. We've got agility, strength, finesse, instinct, presence, knowledge. Now, they've done away with constitution and rolled that into strength. And what you instead have is dexterity has been split out into agility, which is your gross motor skills, so your ability to jump around and sprint, dodge, or leap, as it says under the trait. Handy little examples of what you might do. And finesse, which is your fine motor skills, so picking locks, doing card tricks, all that kind of stuff. Strength is your strength, picking things up, like Millie was doing in the gym the other day, showing off.
Showing off.
Picking up heavy things and putting them down again. That's strength, right? Then instinct is your sense, your ability to perceive. It's a bit like wisdom, but a bit more sensory based. Presence is your charisma, your ability to charm, perform, deceive. And then knowledge. Hello, One-Boxy Llama. That's a cool name. Knowledge is your ability to recall information, right? So if you're ever trying to figure out clues or remember things, we'll make a knowledge roll. But you don't say, I want to make a knowledge roll. You say, I remember the time I was in a library and I found a book with what was the name of that book? And I say, make a knowledge roll. And then you'd roll the dice, right? So it's fiction first, then mechanics. Then we go back to the fiction and say what happens, right? So you may notice that there are just modifiers within these snazzy little shields, banners. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be, those little shapes. So they've done away with a stat number and a modifier like you would have in Dungeons & Dragons, and they've just got the modifier. Just simplifies things. So if you make a strength roll, you roll your dice and you add your strength. Simples. This character obviously has a negative knowledge, so if they made a knowledge roll, they would subtract 1. Right? You can also get other benefits to your dice, and you'll see that as we go through. But it might be interesting to just talk about how we roll dice briefly while we talk about those modifiers. So players, PCs, roll 2d12 for all their tests, right? So that's an action roll or a reaction roll. When you make an action roll, you can roll with hope or fear. So you have 2 dice. In the system, it picks those for you, but you find some nice funky dice. I've got a red one and a green one, which I use, which is quite cool. But what happens is you roll those dice and add them together. It's 2d12. 12-sided dice are the best dice in the world. They're best for rolling. They're best for feel. They've got a good range of numbers and they're very divisible. Anyway, so you roll both those dice, you add them together. But if your hope die is higher, you have rolled with hope. And if your fear die is higher, you have rolled with fear. Now, if you succeed, and you succeed with hope, then something really cool happens. That's like a yes and. If you succeed with fear, that's like a yes but. So you've succeeded, but I get to do maybe add some flavour. If you fail with hope, that's a no but. I'm just remembering it's that way around. And if you fail with fear, it's a no and. So I get to say you failed and something worse happens, right? If you roll the same number on each die, it's a critical. Whether or not the number, the total, beats the difficulty you're going for, it doesn't matter. Rolling a double means you always critically succeed. Yeah. Which actually means you are more likely to crit than in Dungeons & Dragons. It's about 8.5% versus 5% in D&D, because it's 20, the nat 20 on the D20. So you'd roll the dice. So on here, I'm just showing our viewers a little roll. You would roll your dice. You've got hope, yellow, fear, blue. And what it does is it shows you, colours the panel. So you can see the result. Roll. Oh look, I did a trait roll, agility. I rolled an 11 on my hope die, a 5 on my fear die. Sorry, it's a bit small, viewers, for you to see it, especially if you're looking at it on a phone. But nicely, the panel shows us the yellow colour. So we've rolled with hope, and I got a 17. That's quite a good roll. And I had a +1 because that was agility I rolled with, because I literally just clicked on the agility score, which is quite handy, right? So the Games Master doesn't roll 2d12. I roll 1d20, which makes monster interaction very swingy, but hero interaction very predictable. So you've got that bell curve, which means you've got more regular rolls in the middle. Cool. So that's how you roll dice. If you have advantage, you roll a d6 and you add it on. If you roll with disadvantage, you roll a d6 and you take it away. Yeah. And when you do that in here, it just asks you if you've got advantage or disadvantage, and you can just go, yeah, I've got advantage, and you roll. Yeah. And then that's cool. Adds a 3. Oh my god, I rolled a double 1, but that's a crit. So there you go. The worst roll you can get is therefore a 3. So that's cool. Yes, we've done. Yes, poured. Yes, it was. That's cool. So that's how you roll hope and fear. So when it will say things like, if you roll with fear, do this. If you roll with hope, do this. If you roll with hope, you get a point of hope. And you've got your little counter here on the screen that says hope. And you literally just go, yeah, I get another point of hope. And you can have up to 6 hope. Right? Do not hoard your hope. You can get a hope on every roll you make. Use your hope. It is your juice. Yeah?
It's momentum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stuff from Modiphius. They've given a big shout out in the intro to the way Modiphius have done it. And if you're using momentum and threat in the right way, it keeps the pace high and it keeps things rolling really well. Yeah. So yeah, spending hope like water, good.
Yes. But occasionally it can be good to save up for like 3 or 4 to do something really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 3 for the
class ability,
class powers.
Yeah. So that's
you
cool.
You don't want your GM doing a milli and saving up 20 fear to do something outrageously unpleasant to you.
Those darkness points are just were there for emotional support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional support darkness points.
Absolutely. And if you roll with fear, I get a point of fear. And I can have up to 12 fear, which I can deploy against you. And some of my environments and adversaries will allow me to spend fear. I can also use fear to interrupt the flow, so that I kind of interject having a go in the action. Because the way combat and interactions work is slightly different as well, but we'll kind of talk about that in a bit. We don't need to worry about that right now. Right, so over here top left, and a lot of these things, and I hate it when other people do this on YouTube, but it is very easy to just kind of compare it to things like Dungeons and Dragons, right? So evasion is your armor class. Yeah, this is the difficulty that someone needs to roll to hit you. Yeah, and that's dictated by your class. So if you're like a big tanky warrior, you're going to have a low evasion because you're actually supposed to get hit. Whereas if you're like a rogue, you're going to have a high evasion because you want to stay out of the way and do sneaky things, right? So that is your difficulty to be hit. All adversaries, have one difficulty number, and that is your difficulty to do anything to them, whether it's hit them, charm them, spell them, punch them, buff them, whatever it is. That's your role that you need to get to. And I'll tell you what the difficulty is, right? It's not like secrets, and it's not like you don't know. When you enter an environment, I will say, right, this is a difficulty 11 environment. So everything you're trying to do is difficulty 11. That makes it easier for you to anticipate what's going on, pick which abilities you want to use, and engage with the fiction in a way that you think you're quite capable of changing the story in the way you want to, right? So it's not like hiding behind the screen. It's often like, I will be helping you and we'll be building the story together. So I have a difficulty number for all my adversaries, and anything you try to do to them will go against that one number. However, in some situations, I might say, oh, well, this guy's very sneaky, and you're trying to do a certain thing have disadvantage, or this guy's really tough and you're trying to poison him, have disadvantage, right? That kind of thing. There might be once or twice that I kind of put advantage or disadvantage in there. Yeah. Now, when you get hit, right, we roll damage, and for you guys, where has it gone? Proficiency is an important number. In Dungeons and Dragons, unfortunately, it's one of these things where they've used a term that's quite popular in another game. In D&D, your proficiency you add on. It doesn't work that way in this. Proficiency indicates to you how many damage dice you roll, right?
It's a multiplier.
Yes, exactly. So if you have a weapon that is a D8 plus 3 damage, and your proficiency is 3, you actually roll 3d8 plus 3 damage, right? And sometimes some of your abilities allow you to up that temporarily, and some of your spells will use your proficiency to deal damage and those kinds of things, right? So your proficiency dictates damage. When you then roll damage, you add all that up and you compare it to damage thresholds. That's not like enemies don't have like 500 hit points and you're all slowly shaving 83 and 97 and 21 off of it. It doesn't work that way. There's too much number, admin there. What we do is it's a bit like it's actually in Zweihander, this kind of system as well. So basically, I would roll damage, and against this character Nalana, if I rolled 15 damage, I could say, well, I know that's over their minor damage threshold, but it's under their severe damage threshold. So I'm taking major damage, which means I mark 2 hit points, and I literally just go, bop, bop, 2 hit points marked, right? If I want to, and I have armor, at that stage, I can spend an armor slot to reduce that hit point loss. Not reduce the damage number, the total roll, but to reduce the hit point loss. So I could say, you know what, actually, I'm going to mark an armor slot rather than take a hit point. Yeah, and your armor has a value. This character's armor is 4, and so it's got 4 armor slots. When it's 4, you can't use it to defend yourself anymore. And you have to fix it in a downtime activity when you rest. Short rests allow you to do a little bit of fixing, a little bit of healing, a little bit of stuff. Long rests allow you to do the same things, but lots. So you do much more fixing.
Rests give the GM fear for free. So it's a trade-off. You decide you're going to have a short rest, then, oh, look, the GM gets D4 fear.
Yeah. And in the Mechanolith campaign frame, when you take a long rest, I can tick down the invasion from the hells of the legions of hell countdown, which is fun. It's a fun countdown.
Yeah.
So that's how hit points work, right? You look at your damage thresholds, and then you mark off a number of hit points. Now, adversaries, there are like minion versions and little ones. There are some creatures that are horde creatures, and you do more damage to them. You can like take out a bunch of them because they're like a big load of rats. They've each got a few hit points. You sweep them, and you actually like bosh, 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 and we can like add some exciting narrative to what that looks like and how you do it, right? So some cool things like that. So not all monsters have 6 hit points or 10 hit points. Some of them have 1, right? And then you've got stress, which is like your mental stamina, vitality kind of number, if we're talking about heroic deeds. Another D12 game. Stress, you can often have the option to mark stress to do something or to absorb something, so characters might say, oh, you can mark a stress instead of doing this, or you can mark a stress to do this. This character, for example, says when an ally within very close range would take damage, you can mark a stress to stand in the way and make yourself the target of the attack instead, right? So marking a stress is like exerting yourself to do something cool. Yeah, I can also stress you out. Personally, I do that quite frequently, but the creatures will like mark a stress, and also most adversaries have stress. Minions don't, but most others do, and they can use their stress to do things as well.
Ties in a little bit with stress in both Forged in the Dark and also in Alien.
Yep. It's very good.
Once you're stressed all the way out, you become vulnerable.
You do. You become vulnerable, which means any actions against you have advantage. And if you're fully stressed out, you take any more stress damage, it becomes hit points. There's some cool death mechanics in this game, but we won't worry about that right now. You get some options, and you can go out with the Blaze of Glory, or you can take your chance and roll dice. I know, Millie. I know that'll be your option straight away.
Just straight through all the characters. Let's churn through these.
Better to burn out than to fade away.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the core stats and the kind of core of the character. We then have all of your kind of effects and features, which will come from all the elements of your character. So what we'll do is we'll start to build characters for everyone. And I know some people have already made some choices, but we can kind of play through those choices. And the cool thing about the character creation process is at a lot of the stages, I'll get to ask you difficult questions about your character. And also, my campaign frame has got setting specific questions for each of the communities. So there's like some extra bits there. So we'll start to flesh out some of those elements, right? So what I'll do is I'll just switch over to the PDF.
I strongly recommend that fellow players do character creation on demiplane and then import them into Roll20 because it's got a great deal more clarity.
Definitely. So, character creation. The first thing you do is pick your class, right? Now, I think most people have kind of got a good idea of their class, but I'll just give a little rundown for our viewers in case anyone's watching who hasn't scoured the PDF. So and with each class there are 2 subclasses. So you get your class and it has some abilities, and then you get your subclass, and that opens up further abilities as you level up the tiers. Okay, so you got the bard, and you can be the troubadour, who has music and songs that bolster their allies, which are really cool. You've got the wordsmith, who can use clever wordplay to captivate crowds. You've got the druid, Dan. They'll play the warden of the elements if you want to embody the natural elements of the wild, or the warden of renewal if you want to use powerful magic to heal your party. You've got the guardian, the stalwart, who can take heavy blows and keep fighting. The vengeance, strike down enemies. You've got the ranger, who can play the beastbound, who has a deep bond with an animal ally, or the wayfinder, which Aaron is going to be playing a ranger wayfinder. If you want to hunt your prey and strike with deadly force. Sounds cool. You've got the rogue, so you've got Nightwalker, who does shadow magic, or the syndicate, who has a web of contacts everywhere they go. You've then got the seraph, who's basically a paladin, cleric-y paladin, depending on which way you go. So you've got the winged sentinel, you can fly and fight people. Or the divine wielder, who has got a holy avenger. You've got the sorcerer, who you can have the elemental origin, so channel the raw power of a particular element, or primal origin. You want to extend the versatility of your spells in powerful ways. You've then got the warrior, which is, I think, a little bit more on the barbarian side of things, right? It's more of a damage dealer. So you've got the call of the brave. Use the might of your enemies to fuel your own power. Or call of the slayer. You want to strike down adversaries with immense force. And then you've got the wizard with school of knowledge, which means you get more spells. Or school of war, which means you're trained for violence, which is great. You're trained magic for violence. And also in the void, which is the extra stuff online, you can now also get
Brawler and the assassin.
Warlock. Brawler and warlock, assassin and witch. The brawler and the warlock are in demiplane now, so we can use those, and I believe one of us will be using one of those. So interestingly, the brawler was called the fighter, but so many people are used to fighter being the Dungeons and Dragons fighter,
sword and board,
that they switched it to brawler because it's a punchy.
It's half monk, half barbarian.
Yeah, you can
barbarian.
Yeah, you can pick the the style. Now with each class, excuse me, with each class you get 2 domains, right? And domains are card decks, pools of abilities. They're represented by cards at the table. They don't have to be. You can write them on your character sheet if you want to. And these domains are the extra abilities that you can get, but you often overlap with another class. So where is that diagram? Excuse me. My players could hear me coughing, but our viewers could not there, so I think I made the right choice. Let's find... Oh, here we go. Oops. Oh, my computer's really warm. Here
the rotating circle.
I'm showing the
all
domain
different
circle.
overlaps.
Yeah, domain circle to our viewers. So, like,
That's
for
really
example, up in the top left here, you've got midnight, right? The midnight domain is shared by the sorcerer and the rogue. Yeah. So it's quite handy in a way, because you can kind of go, oh, if one person's on this side, then maybe we want someone over this side and this side and this side, and you can kind of balance things out. Or you don't have to do that at all, and you can just pick whatever you want to do.
I was about to say that's awfully organised for player
It is.
creation. For making a party.
But a diagram such as this begs for that kind of consideration. But they're already expanding it because they've added in the dread domain. Right.
Optimization is a dirty word. Make your characters beautifully.
What's your
flawed.
build, Ben? What's your build up to tier 4? So I'm going to see if I can remember them all. You've got Midnight, which is funky, shadowy things. You've got Arcana, which is kind of general purpose magic. You've got Sage, which is naturey stuff. On the top right here, shared between Druid and Ranger. You've then got Bone, which is shared between Ranger and Warrior. Bone is tactics and martial prowess kind of thing. Then you've got Blade, which is between Warrior and Guardian, and Blade is about hitting things really hard with a blade, funnily enough. Then at the bottom you've got Valor, which is kind of like bolstering people, yourself or others. Then you've got Splendor, which is not that sugar alternative, but it is in fact lovely, nice magic helping people. Yeah, there's a bit of healing and other things in there. Shared by the Seraph and the Wizard, which is an interesting choice. Then you've got Codex. Not Warhammer, Dan, don't worry. But the Codex is spells, and each card in the Codex deck is actually 3. Well, at first level, they're 3 spells. So they represent like a little grimoire that you've got spells in. And then the last one is Grace, which is between Bard and Rogue. And that's kind of like a bit of agility, trickery, special powers. Right? So they're all of the domains, and what happens is each domain has got 3 first level abilities. I'm not sure if they're called abilities or powers, or I think they're abilities. 3 first level abilities, and everyone gets to pick 2 of them at first level, right? And they are in your loadout, and your loadout can be up to 5 cards. And as you go up levels, you can pick the option to as you go up a level you get a domain card. Sorry, that's one for free. Some people get to take an option to get another one, but you get a domain card for free every level. And once you get past 5, you have to then start to decide which 5 are in your loadout and which are in your vault. So things you know, but they're not front of mind. It's a little Vancian. But you basically go, I've got 6, I've got to put 1 in the vault. So I'll keep it there, and I can't use it until I rest and I switch my loadout. So I can move those abilities around.
Stress.
You can.
Pull things from your.
They
vault.
have a recall cost. So if you're like in a really, oh shit, I'm in this moment and I actually could really do that thing, and you're like, remember, ooh, and pop, you get it back, but you have to spend some stress to swap it with another thing in your hand, in your loadout. Yeah. So you have active abilities and then inactive abilities. Some of them are deliberately kind of set up to be vault abilities, right? They're kind of like, you wouldn't use them much, like the splendor ability of Raise Dead, right? That goes in the vault until you really need it, but when you really need it, you really need it. You know, so that's quite interesting. Cool. So I believe we've already made some choices around our class, everyone, haven't we?
Yes.
Ben,
Yeah.
what
Indeed.
Ben, what are you going for?
Sorcerer, primal sorcerer.
Primal sorcerer. Okay, cool. And you therefore have the domains of Arcana and Midnight.
Midnight.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool, because I don't think we've got a rogue, have we? So that's cool. So you'll be a little bit crafty there. That's cool. Excellent. Dan, what are you going for?
I am going for a druid.
Druid. The OP class.
Is it indeed?
Well, this is what I hear online and see on Reddit and things like that.
Everybody loves Caleb.
The shape shifting is very powerful, so that's cool. Okay, so you're going for druid, and Millie is a
Brawler. I'm going to do a brawler.
cool, excellent.
Juggernaut brawler.
A juggernaut brawler. That's cool. And what domains do brawlers use? I'm assuming bone and
Valor.
Yeah, that's a cool combo. That's a cool combo. Okay, cool. So, bear with me a moment, actually, people.
No, let's create anarchy. Chaos on the stream.
I actually have the cheat sheets from last night's face-to-face game. The character creation process. Here we go. So you pick your class, you get your subclass, and you get your foundation card from your subclass. So, not sure how it's doing it on Demiplane.
On Demiplane, it brings it up if you select your subclass and use the arrow to open it up. So my primal origin foundation card spellcasting trait is instinct.
Yep.
Which is a bit punk because I've got +0 in that, but that's okay. I'm not optimized. And it says that I can manipulate magic. After casting a spell, I can mark stress to extend spell or attack reach by a range, gain a +2 bonus to the action's roll result, double a damage dice, or hit an additional target within range.
Oh, nice. That's nice. Meta magic.
Yep.
Love a bit of meta magic, don't you, Ben?
Oh yeah. Extend spell, maximize spell,
Yep.
heighten spell, and double spell.
Yeah.
Double spells.
Very cool. Okay, so that's your foundation ability.
Yeah.
And for being a sorcerer, let me just scroll down for our viewers to see on the... Apologies for scrolling. So your starting evasion is 10.
Yes, which is punk.
Well, it's medium. That's medium.
Yeah.
And your starting hit points are 6.
Which is punk.
That's fine. You're not a seraph and you're not a giant, so don't, you know. That's
what I was playing on Monday, though. So I have a giant seraph in full plate armor.
Wow, 8 hit points.
Yeah, all the hit points. And
Jeez.
6 armor slots.
Wow.
And my damage thresholds are like 9 and 18. So yeah, go ahead, hurt me. Whatevs, mate.
Cool. Okay. Your class items: a whispering orb or a family heirloom. This is where we start to get into
Where are we? Have we done traits?
No, we don't do traits yet.
No?
Traits comes later. You pick your class and you get all your
starting
stuff.
Inventory, I'm with you.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I
I
took a
don't know what
whispering
class to
orb
go for.
and a minor stamina potion.
Okay.
Stamina potion to regain stress.
Yep.
Because we've got a Dan for regaining health.
Yes. And your hope feature is volatile magic. Spend 3 hope to reroll any number of your damage dice on an attack that deals magic damage, which you'll probably be doing a lot.
Yep.
And then you've got arcane sense, minor illusion, channel raw power, And then, as you said, you picked elemental origin.
I picked primal origin.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Looking at the wrong one. There we go. Primal origin, and you got manipulate magic. Very cool. Cool. Excellent. Right. Let's look at our druid, who's having trouble picking his subclass by the sounds of it. So, Dan, your starting evasion is 10 as well, and your starting hit points is also 6. Yeah. Druid's hope feature. Spend 3 hope to transform into a beast form without marking a stress. When you do, choose 1 trait to raise by +1 until you drop out of that beast form. Now that's ridiculous, right? Because your beast forms already pump your traits. And then that adds another +1. Right? So the beast forms are really good. And that's your first class feature. Mark a stress to transform into a creature of your tier or lower from the beast form list. You can drop out of this form at any time. While transformed, you can't use weapons or cast spells from domain cards, but you can still use other features or abilities. Spells you cast before you transform stay active, blah blah blah. You don't lose any of your stuff. Additionally, you gain the beast form's features, add their evasion bonus to your evasion, and use the trait specified in their statistics for your attack. While you're in a beast form, your armor becomes part of your body, and you mark armor slots as usual. When you drop out of a beast form, those marked armor slots remain marked. If you mark your last hit point, you automatically drop out of this form.
Okay.
And then your other class feature is like a little prestidigitation type thing. Wild touch. You can perform harmless, subtle effects that involve nature, such as causing a flower to rapidly grow, summoning a slight gust of wind. We can all do that. Or starting a campfire at will. sorry. Gust of wind is just that thing. Yeah, or starting a campfire at will. That's quite handy. Just start a campfire in someone's backpack. There you go. Right, so you've got Warden of the Elements or Warden of Renewal. Now, I think the question is here, do you want to be the healer or do you want to be kick-ass? Because the thing about Warden of the Elements is you don't have to pick a favourite element. You get to do all of those things whenever you want to, right? So you can be like, I can do this,
you're in a Shari.
Exactly.
I just clicked. Sorry, I just clicked.
And this kind of threw me off because I was like, elementalist. But yeah, so the classes are slightly different from what you normally kind of see of them.
I think I will go for the healer, Warden of Renewal.
Okay, cool. So Warden of Renewal, your spellcasting trait is Instinct. We'll do traits in a minute. Your foundation feature, Clarity of Nature. Once per long rest, you can create a space of natural serenity within close range. When you spend a few minutes resting within the space, clear stress equal to your instinct, distributed as you choose between you and your allies. And then Regeneration, touch a creature and spend 3 hope. That creature clears 1d4 hit points. Nice. That's very handy. So, we should ask some of these questions. So Dan, think about these. You don't have to necessarily answer them right now, and they're on your character sheet. Yeah. So Dan, for example, why was the community you grew up in so reliant on nature and its creatures? Who was the first wild animal you bonded with? Why did your bond end? Or who has been trying to hunt you down? What do they want from you? You don't have to answer all of those, right? You could pick 1 or 2 or 3 or none, right? But they're just to get you thinking about, as a druid, why am I druidy? Right, how do I get to the brawler? Here we go. We'll go to the void, haven't I?
I don't know.
That's all right.
I just did it on demi-plane. I'm sorry.
Cool.
Gaze into the void.
If I download the void down, come on.
I was a good player and uploaded my character sheet to Roll20, so you could look at it on that.
Oh, yes. Here we go. Let's do that. Let's put yours over the top of mine, so it's in the same view for our viewers, and then turn off the PDF. Okay, so Ganath, you evasion 10, Oh my god, look at your thresholds. It's crazy. That's because you've already gone ahead and
I've
done
already
your.
gone and put my.
That's cool. Ancestry.
Yeah.
Yep. Brawler's Hope is your staggering strike. Spend 3 hope when you hit an adversary to also deal them a stress and make them temporarily staggered. While staggered, all attack rolls they make are at disadvantage. Nice.
Yeah.
Then you get Brawler I am the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
While you don't have any equipped weapons, your evasion has a +1 bonus. Your unarmed strikes are considered a melee weapon. Use the trait of your choice. Just use the trait of your choice. Knowledge. Pressure points.
Secrets.
Clink, clink, clink.
Yep. And deal d10 plus d6 physical damage. Both dice scale with your proficiency. That's crazy.
Yeah, baby.
That's crazy.
It's
It's
disgusting,
like,
right?
why be a warrior with a sword? Everyone would be a brawler, right?
I will punch you to death instead.
Yeah. Combo strikes. After making a damage roll with a melee weapon, but before dealing that damage to the target, mark stress to start a combo strike. When you do, roll your combo die and note its value. Then roll your die again. If the value of the second die is equal to or greater than your first roll, continue rolling until the latest combo dice roll is less than the roll that preceded it. So you want to roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, you get a d4 to begin with, but that goes up when you go up tiers. So you want to roll 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be the best setup for a combo. So that's cool. Then as a juggernaut, increase the d10 damage dice for your unarmed attacks to d12. So you roll d12 plus d6 damage. Plus your strength.
Yeah.
Nice. And then you got overwhelm. On a successful attack, you can spend a hope to force the target to mark a stress. That's cool. So you just like, not only you're hurting them, but you're just overpowering them, and they're just feeling it. They're feeling really stressed.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Not a fun time.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to switch back over to the PDF, and we're going to talk about communities. But I'm not going to go... we're going to go ancestries first, right? So, again, we've all had a bit of a think about ancestries already, right? But to summarize very briefly for our viewers, we have the Clank, which is an automaton. We have Dracona, which is a dragonborn. We have dwarves, which is a dwarf. Elf, fairy, which can be insectoid or fey. Yeah, so you can kind of play with it a little bit, but they can fly.
They can all fly.
They can all fly.
Yeah.
You got the fawn, which is a fawn, a satyr, however you want to say it. You got Furbolg. Furbolgs have morphed into minotaurs because of Caduceus. What's his face? They're cow people now, rather than forest giants that they used to be. But anyway, minotaurs on the World Mountain. You got Fungril, which are fungus people. Yep. Who like have they've got the mycelial network, and they can talk to any fungril in the galaxy.
What?
Yeah, make an instinct roll 12 to use your mycelial array to speak with others of your ancestry. On a success, you can communicate across any distance. Any distance. That's cool.
But it has to be with another mushroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then you got
anyone else?
you got Galappa. They can talk to that engineer on the Discovery, can't they?
Yeah.
You got Galappa, who are big turtle people, which is cool. Be a turtle brawler and wear a red.
Turtle monk. Yep.
Then you've got giants, or Jotun as they're known on the World Mountain, but giants fine. I like the concept art.
You can be a cyclop.
Yeah, I like the concept art. It's got sort of variants, which is cool.
Oh yeah, their eyes don't finish settling until they reach maturity, and like while they're growing up, they sometimes have 1 or 3 or 2.
Yeah.
They kind of move around on their faces. What an awkward puberty.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. It feels like my eyes are settling into one. Oh, poor Jeff, he's a bloody cyclops. You got goblins who can hang glide with their ears. They've got very big ears, and they're sort of a bit more mousy, cutesy than
Yeah, they got strong little guy
the kind of goblins I would have in my kind of yeah. You got halflings. I don't actually have halflings on the World Mountain because it's a very Lord of the Rings thing, and I've just kind of. But halflings are cool. They're lucky, funnily enough, but they also got an internal compass, which is pretty cool.
They've got like a navigation sense, like a pigeon.
Yeah.
They can align themselves with magnetic fields.
Yeah.
So
cool.
even down here at the bottom of the mountain where hell is,
Yeah.
they can still find their way home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then you got
Like the
humans. Remember those? Then Infernus, and there are Infernus on Zadumir. So
Tieflings.
Tieflings, yeah. But again, not the original Tieflings. But anyway, I'm not going to get grognard on it.
No.
Qatari, who are the Thundercats.
They're cat boys. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Because they vary, don't they? You can have the Ron Perlman in Beauty and the Beast, Qatari, and you can also have the Nyan
Yeah. I'm cosplaying a cat person.
Miraculous with the ladybug girl and the little
The picture
cat boy with the
picture
bell.
I'm showing at the moment is
Don't badmouth Miraculous, man. My kids used to be nuts for that cartoon.
Then you could be an orc. They got tusks that they can stab people with, and they're sturdy. You got ribbits. Can anyone guess what a ribbit is? It's a frog person.
I was going to say something else.
very frog person. They're just
doing a frog.
walking.
Oh, you're
not?
I'm not going to do the frog.
Oh, dude.
One of the other players in the Monday game I'm in is playing a mixed ancestry ribbit halfling.
A small frog.
A ribbit halfling bard. There's a little shout out there to our good friend Rudy Raspberry.
How did that happen?
Don't. Anyway, halfling went for a walk one day and got curious. Simia, who are ape people, or monkeys. It seems they're monkeys or apes. And they've got good with their feet and
brawler.
Well, we've got a Simia Ranger.
Yeah, a Simia Brawler who exaggerates a lot, and you've got Monkey, Lord of the Mountain.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
You could make a really good Pirates of Darkwater campaign frame for this.
I was thinking that.
That's for Dan. That was for Dan. That was.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Okay, and you could do mixed ancestry, which just feels like cheating.
Okay, I've cheated then.
It's I really like that one, and I really like that one, but I can't be asked to commit to.
No, it's actually been done in such a way that you can't optimize it like that. If you wanted
There's a primary and a secondary. You've got to take a primary
and a secondary. You can't be mixed
which one's primary and which one's secondary?
The superpowers of both.
Yeah.
You get the better power of one and the lesser power of the other.
Sure.
So you can't have the best powers from both.
Those are the options. In my setting, I also have hobgoblins, who are very good with magic, and kobolds, who are used to the shadow. So when the Games Master takes fear, they have an ability to do with hope. Because they're they're strangely drawn to because they've been horribly
And if we were to want to play a kobold, where would we go about finding a resource to be able to do such a thing?
Funny you should say that.
Nice.
You could go and find kobolds, my first Daggerheart compatible supplement on Drive-Thru RPG, which I'll just scroll through quickly here. You've got an ancestry, you've got some kobolds, you've got koborgs, which are mechanically mutated kobolds. They've been punched through a chaos engine and come out the other side with rotating saw hands and cannons growing out of their shoulders, and then some environments as well. That's a Drive-Thru RPG.
Please lower shields.
Yeah.
Give technology us.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's available on Drive-Thru RPG right now, and my campaign frame will be on there as well soon. So those are the things we've got. So Ben, you said you've gone for a mixed ancestry. What have you gone
have.
for?
I started off with elf,
Okay.
but then thinking about the direction I wanted to move the character in, with the idea of being well, we'll get to that anyway.
Sure.
So I've taken mixed ancestry, clank elf.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And I've taken purposeful design as my primary feature,
Okay.
and the celestial trance feature from elves.
Okay, hang on. I'm scrolling and annoying the viewers. Purposeful design. Decide who made you and for what purpose. At character creation, choose one of your experiences. The best aligns with this purpose and gain a permanent +1 bonus to it. Oh, nice. So one of your experiences will be +3.
Yes.
So that's cool. And then elf, you pick the celestial trance. During a rest, you can drop into a trance to choose an additional downtime move. You're recharging.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I like it. That's cool, and we can talk about how that manifests, like, physically.
Yeah, I'm going full anime.
That's cool. That's cool. Millie, you've already picked your ancestry,
Yeah.
right?
Going to be a Jotun.
Cool.
Big old giant.
Nice.
Giant
So
fist punching fire. That's awesome.
yes.
Giant,
Brawler,
big,
sorry.
big, brawling, juggernaut, giant.
Yeah. So
Test.
you gain an additional hit point slot at character creation. Very handy for you. And Miss Melee, treat any weapon, ability, spell, or other feature that has a melee range as though it has a very close range instead. So I can. Your fists count as melee weapons, so
Yeah.
you can punch people at very close range for 1d12 plus d6 damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wowzers.
Yeah, that's up to 10 feet away.
I will have to
vibe,
bear
isn't
this
it?
in mind. Very close is like 15 foot, and then close is 30 foot, and then far is kind of 60 foot, and very far is
The
beyond.
giants are drawn with really, really long arms.
Yes, they are. I really like the giant
really
art.
cool.
I like the
Yeah.
giant art. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's also, it's the Dalsim thing from Street Fighter. Just shoot
Yeah.
out those really long arms and punch people all the way
That's
over
a
there.
great analogy.
Yoga
Yeah.
punch.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Okay, right. So we've got our heritage apart from Dan. Dan,
Right.
what heritage would you like to go for? You're a druid.
I'm a druid.
Yeah.
Right, so I've got an idea. And at any point, please tell me if it's not going to work. Within
Okay.
the
like it
context of
already.
the setting.
Yeah.
So I would like to do a
It's not going to work. Sorry.
Not going to work, but
Couldn't
we're doing
resist.
it anyway.
Couldn't resist.
druid dwarf.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're basically a
Okay.
gnome.
No, because I was kind of thinking even the Underdark and dungeons and even the planes of hell have nature in some sort of way.
Well, would you like me to read from the campaign frame the considerations
What
for
a
classes?
lovely idea.
Lovely little segue there.
Genius.
So, classes, druids and rangers. The verdance is the source of all plants and animals on the world mountain. So the verdance is like a power source. It's not like a god that's a person. It's like a neutral force that life sprang from it when it crashed into the world mountain. Right?
Surrounds us and binds us. Connects us to all living things.
not the force. But it resides on Glorium. Down on Zadumir, there is little that is green beyond the wall. There is a bit of green behind the wall, mainly because all the industrial processes for the war machine use a lot of water, right? And evapotranspiration has started to, the little water cycle has started to build behind the wall, and plants and things have started to grow in the foot peaks, not foothills, the foot peaks of the world mountain. So
Ian
there's,
Malcolm, talk about how life finds a way.
yeah. But druids and rangers of the Mechanolith have to become desert survival experts.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's fine. So think cactus, thorny things, spiky lizards, shells, scales, a lot of that kind of stuff. But I don't want to limit you that, because the idea is the verdance is like, in my own game, the Wild Walker, which is like the druid kind of character, has the verdance in them, and they learn from the verdance the forms. So you can know forms from other layers, right? That's not that you're constrained to, I can only know the animal that I can see. The verdance itself is almost like a database of all plant and animal life.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So that's a little sneak peek of the Mechanolith. Right. So you're a dwarf. So dwarves are the first race, first ancestry, first people, whatever you want to call it, on the World Mountain, and they built all the layers, and they built the Mechanolith, and in order to build it, Ondrum, which is the mountain and the creator god itself, hey Grimwolf plays, hello, charged them with the building of the Mechanolith and gave them the power to form runic magic, which is how magic was formed in the world, deliberate magic. But they get thick skin. When you take minor damage, you can mark 2 stress instead of marking a hit point.
Handy.
That's handy. And increased fortitude, spend 3 hope to halve incoming physical damage. So that might knock you down under a threshold. Yeah. And a good combo, right? You might go, I'm going to spend 3 hope. That knocks me down to half, which is below my major threshold. So now I'm taking minor damage, and I'll actually then take 2 stress instead of marking a hit point, kind of thing, right? So you can, but you want to describe what that looks like. You know, I stand up and I engage my core and I flex my muscle. You know, that kind of thing. It's got to be descriptive fiction first. Then I go, you must be going for your increased fortitude ability. Spend 3 hope, and then
Uncle
it happens.
Iroh breaking out of prison.
Oh, so good. Cool. Okay, so we've got Dwarf Druid, like it. We've got a Elf Clank Sorcerer, nice. And we've got a Giant Brawler. Fantastic. Right, so now we go on to your community. Right. And community is where we start to ask some questions of you as well. And some of those questions I have in my campaign frame. But we'll quickly go through I won't go into them too much. I'll just do a quick run through. You've got Highborn, which is nobility, right? And you get an advantage on consorting with nobles, negotiating, leveraging your reputation. You've got Lawborn, which is you're in academia, right? And you have advantage on roles that involve history, culture, politics. These things don't really have huge, superpowers. It's more like your area of
flavor text.
Yes. Orderborn, which is faithful, right? So you're born into a religious order, discipline, or faith. And your feature is you get to have 3 sayings. You write down 3 sayings from your order. So it might be the tenets of your faith, or the teachings of Sun Tzu, or something, whatever it is.
It could also be like an army thing as well.
It could be
you could be like a member of an armed force, and the
mantra of the military. You use. You can be flexible with these things, but if you can convince me that the situation is appropriate to use one of your sayings, then you can roll a d20 as your hope die instead of a d12, which is pretty cool. Then there's the Ridgeborn. They live in the mountains, and they are good at traversing dangerous cliffs and ledges, harsh environments, survivalists. You've got the Seaborn. Now, there isn't a sea on Zadumir, so instead these people become the Skyborn, the people who move between the stalactites that hang down from the layer above, right?
No, I don't trust them.
And there are settlements in there.
Cool.
You go watch them, because weird tentacly things drop out of them. So
that's a few layers up. You don't need to worry about that, or do you? And their ability is Know the Tide. You can sense the ebb and flow of life. When you roll with fear, place a token on your card. You can hold a number of tokens equal to your level before you make an action roll. Spend any number of these tokens to gain a +1 for each token spent. At the end of each session, clear all unspent tokens. So they're just good at dealing with the storm on the horizon. They're like, they kind of deal with crappy situations quite frequently. You've got the Slyborn, from a group living outside the law, criminals, grifters, con artists, outlaws, rightfully or wrongfully labelled that way, up to you.
Tortuga.
Yes. And their community feature is Scoundrel. You have advantage on rolls to negotiate with criminals, detect lies, find a safe place to hide. You've got the Underborn, living underground in tunnels. They get advantage in low light and heavy shadow to hide and investigate, etc. And then you've got the Wonderborn, who are nomadic people. And you can have a pack that you can spend a hope, stick your hand in and pull out a mundane item of your choice. So you're like a, that woman in Labyrinth with the giant bag on her back. Oh, hello, dear.
Or Mary Poppins.
Or Mary Poppins, yeah. And then you've got Wildborn, who live in the forests, and they have Lightfoot. Your movement is naturally silent. You have advantage on rolls to move without being heard. I have also added Forgeborn, because it's such an industrial environment. You can be the Forgeborn, where you live and die in an industrial complex, and you get advantage on building, repairing, evaluating mechanical creatures and items. Or the Warborn, who literally are born into the endless war. You live, you fight, you die, and you get advantage to interact with military NPCs, tactical planning, and reading and drawing maps. So those are the communities, and if there's one you like, then I will read out to you the Mechanolith version with a little bit of extra and some questions on the end. So we'll go in reverse order this time. Millie, do you have a community that you would like to explore?
Sort of stuck between either a Lawborn or the Orderborn.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Like, but working on the idea that, not everybody in the law sort of community, the Lawborn community, are actually doing the reading. Like, there must be people who are doing like no, let's not get you dead. Let's get you from this side of the Mechanolith to the other side.
Okay.
So you can read more books. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're a very important pet. So I was sort of like,
do it as Orderborn, but flavour it.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that fits closest, isn't it? Having that advantage on book learning when you want to be the guy that keeps the book learning people alive makes them.
Pick up that shit when you're sort of around it, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose that's.
Should I read out the Mechanolith flavour for you?
Yeah.
So Lawborn and Orderborn actually come under the same bracket.
Oh, okay.
The academics and clergy of the Mechanolith often work towards the same goal. They preserve the ability for the people of the hub cities to wage eternal war. Lawborn are the guardians of vast libraries of knowledge, or the craft of war. They provide the vision to keep going. Orderborn safeguard the vast temples that embolden the spirit of the defenders. They provide the passion to keep going. They are not preserved from the effects of war. Indeed, one can only test the limits of knowledge or faith if one is willing to walk into the maelstrom and put your money where your mouth is. Field study improves and proves the text of an artillerist's diary. Field medic duties and chaplaincy help show the fighters that the faith is alongside them in war, not behind them chanting from safety. And the questions that follow on from that, and you can answer one or all of these if you want. What area of law do you specialise in? Which of the gods are you aligned to? What structure, organisation within the Mechanolith has seen your service these past years? Or, your aid was instrumental in a conflict out on the Ashen Breeze, and I'll tell you what the Ashen Breeze is in a bit. What did you do to assist the warriors in their time of need? Or you have discovered a small but dark truth about a person or organisation within the Mechanolith. Who does this concern, and why do they hide the truth? So those are the questions. And this gets you to start thinking. So Orderborn, you'd have 3 tenets that you could call upon to try and give you a better hope die. Lawborn would give you advantage on knowledge. Where are we? You have advantage on roles that involve the history, culture, or politics of a prominent person or place. Prominent person or place.
Personal place.
Not good for the microphone.
Yeah, all the buzz. I think I'll just pick the lowborn one. Like,
Okay.
let's give this brawler a bit of hope, a bit of
Sure.
a chance with some
Okay.
thinking.
Cool.
Second dimension to the character?
Wow.
No,
Very cool.
no.
Okay, so we're going to go lawborn. Have a think about those
Yeah.
questions. I shared the PDF with you guys, didn't I? The Mechanolith.
Yeah,
Cool. Okay.
yeah.
Right, Dan, what community are you interested in?
I was interested in a couple.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being Wildborn.
Sure.
But how would the
woodland.
context of that work? 'Cause,
Well, do you want me to read it out to you?
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
So, Ridgeborn and Wildborn. The slopes of the World Mountain are vast, with great tracts of land behind the wall. More and more life sprouts there every year. The heat makes it a tough place for anything to take hold for long, though. The Ridgeborn that live in the foot peaks are ardent survivalists and gather in small communities, often hidden in natural features so as not to draw too much attention. The Wildborn live in the few trees that clutch to the hot earth between these ridgelines and mountains. The water that evaporates up from the industrial uses in the Mechanolith falls here as bitter rain that is slowly turning the dust to soil. Due to the lure of the scarce green on the layer, the Ridgeborn slowly migrate to the Wildborn settlements. And the questions are... born away from the Mechanolith, what did you mine, hunt or farm that meant you had cause to trade or visit the hub city? Or, what do you call the mountains you live on or near? You found something strange within the earth here, what was it? Or, what strange customs do your people observe? What strange customs have you heard the people of the hub city indulge in? So some things to think about. So in the kind of valleys between the foot peaks of the World Mountain, there has started to become like little savanna-y woodland copses and things like that there.
Okay.
You can be from another layer if you want. So you could be from Glorim, where it's a fucking crazy chaos jungle.
I like the idea of being from that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, I'll go for Wildborn.
Okay, cool. So you are Wildborn. And Ben.
I've gone Highborn.
Highborn, cool.
But not like nobility Highborn. I've gone for more like celebrity Highborn.
Oh, okay. Cool. Do you want me to read the thing out for you?
Go for it.
The ancient clans and families that built the walls of the Mechanolith also took upon themselves the great burden of its defence. An eternal struggle is something one must plan for, ensure continuity, make sure that there is someone to take up the battle after you are gone. Each clan was responsible for some fundamental part of the Mechanolith, and they bear that in their clan sigil to this day, uniting Highborn with the Forgeborn to ensure that the defences never fail. Each clan also maintained a realm defender, the titanic automatons that are deployed in the most desperate of battles. And the questions are, what part of the Mechanolith were your ancestors responsible for? Are your clan or family still a steward of this fortification? Or one of your ancestors was a realm defender pilot of great renown. What kaiju-sized beast did they destroy and how? Or you have gone against tradition in some way. What have you done to offend your elders, and what do they demand in recompense?
Okay.
So that's kind of food for thought.
Bit of a tweak. I could see how that could work
Yeah.
with the plan.
Sure. So pick those, and we got those. That's cool. We then assign our character traits, and I'm assuming you've probably all done this already.
Mm-hmm.
But this is your modifiers for your traits, and you get a -1, a 0, a 0, +1, +1, +2. Yep. And each class does have suggested traits, but optimization is a dirty word, isn't it, Ben? So, no. Being effective is quite useful, though.
Effectiveness
So
useful. Yeah,
balance it out. That's cool. Choose starting equipment. Decide which weapons you want to start the game with and record their details in the appropriate spaces in the active weapons section.
I've got a spare longsword if anyone wants it.
Next, take one of the available options for starting armor and record its details in the appropriate spaces. Your armor comes with its own damage.
Chainmail if anyone wants it.
Oh yeah, you're just skins, aren't you? Record this alongside your selection under active armor. Add your thresholds to your level and record those numbers under the damage and health section. Also record the base armor score plus modifiers for any features in the large shield labelled armor at the top of the sheet. Starting inventory for your class is listed on your character guide, though you guys don't have that, although it must be on Demiplane, right?
It's on Demiplane.
Yeah,
Like
it's on
4
Demi-
things.
Cool. Okay.
Glowing rings.
So, all of your bits together will help you start to build your background, right? But what we need to do, I think, next is talk about experiences. So, experiences are what you might consider kind of skills, but they're not really. They're slightly looser, descriptive terms, or it could be a profession, it could be a descriptor, it could be a characteristic, or it could be a saying. So you could put blacksmith as an experience, and then whenever you smith a weapon, you could spend a hope to get +2 to do that. That's how you use your experience. But likewise, you wouldn't just use it for blacksmithing. If you went into a store and saw a load of swords on the wall, you could say, oh, I want to see which is the best sword. I'm going to use my blacksmithing experience, right? And you may even be a judge in Smith Idol, and you have to judge which person has made the best weapon, so you can then use it in that situation as well, right? So an experience is something you can use across a breadth of things. Now, they cannot be super broad, but they should not be super narrow, right? And the cool ones are like sayings, like "catch me if you can," and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna jump away, I'm gonna and catch me if you can," you know. And you get to be creative with how you do them. But I can always say no, because it doesn't fit the fiction. Remember, the fiction comes first. It has to be a way for it to be applicable in what's happening in the story at the time. It's not just, I've got this thing that gives me a +2. And you have to spend hope to do it. So that's another proviso. So experiences could be like backgrounds, such as con artist or merchant. There could be characteristics like intimidating or survivor. There could be specialties like healer, navigator, swashbuckler. Skills like barter, tracker, quick hands. Or phrases like catch me if you can, hold the line, hold the door, nature's friend. This is not a negotiation. Right, so you get 2 experiences. If anyone's got Ben, if anyone's got a thought on that, please talk to the audience while I go and fill my drink quickly. I need cold beverage. Back in a moment.
I picked 2 off the Juggernaut, the brawler list. So I picked bodyguard, and this is not a negotiation. Like, I felt like they were just like enough. But I am
Are we going for Vinnie Jones Juggernaut, or are we going for Deadpool 2 Juggernaut?
I know, bit of both. Big Jotun, like, oh, I'm bored now. This is not negotiation. Let's go.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And like, I don't know, a little bit of Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner romance at some point.
Okay, well, that's
how I'm going to use that bodyguard.
Because one of the experiences I've got is known celebrity.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So I've gone for ace pilot and known celebrity as my two. The
Are you
budding
Ace
romance
Rimmer?
between Millie's character and mine, apparently.
We'll sort out connections. We'll sort out connections in a minute.
Now this is based on experiences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are your experiences, Ben?
Oh, Millie, you go first because yours
Okay,
were.
Millie.
Right. So I picked bodyguard.
Okay.
And this is not negotiation.
Okay.
Those are mine.
Cool. Appropriate
and
for
when-
you.
And when you think about bodyguard, I want you to think more about Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston than
My mind
you know.
went there instantly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Which was funny because one of my experiences is known celebrity.
Okay.
And the other one is ace pilot, brackets mech.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm going Shinji getting the robot.
Well, I'll talk to you about the player. I can never remember what it's called. Player
Connections.
No, player principles in the campaign frame shortly. Okay, cool. Dan, have you got some experiences?
No.
Oh, Pord's put hold my beer. That's quite a good one.
That's a
I
good
like
one.
Good one for a dwarf.
Well, you don't have to decide them right now, right? We can have a think, but we need to have them by the first session, which will be next week. So have a think. 2 experiences that we need to do. Right. So then you get to pick your domain cards, right? So from your 2 domains, they will each have 3 first level cards, and you get to pick 2 of them. Could be 1 of each or 2 of one of them. Yeah. I don't know if anyone's already picked those. Yeah, Millie, do you want to tell us which domain cards from which domain you've picked and what they are?
Oh, I'll have to go and check which domain is that from. So I picked Bare Bones, which is a Valor. If you choose not to equip armor, you have a base armor score of +3 plus your strength, and your damage thresholds are increased. So my tier 1 damage threshold at base is 9 and 19, but because they're a giant, that becomes 10 and 20.
In your pants.
In my pants, I have an armor of 5.
In your pants.
Those are some pretty tough pants.
Yeah, just stood in there. It just stood in there.
Well, your giants are have got elemental blood in them, so you are,
And also, we're at the Mechanolith, we're at the bottom there, so it is just pants. It's not like, it's not like lots of fairs, because that's too hot
for anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Hot for that.
It's just Y fronts, right?
Yeah.
Just got some tidy whities.
Yeah, that's all Ganeth is wearing.
Yeah, okay.
And then the other one I picked was I Am Your Shield, which I think is another Valor one. When an ally with an ally within very close range would take damage, I can mark a stress to stand in the way and make yourself the target of the attack instead. When you take damage from this attack, you can mark any number of armor slots.
Yeah,
so I could.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Tank it all out.
Just go in and go, ugh, and then you're just like,
and then swing at them.
Flick the kobolds. Well, I don't know why we would have kobolds go up against you. Cool, very cool, Millie. Right, Ben, have you picked yours?
I have taken Rain of Blades.
Right, which domain is that from?
That's Midnight.
Okay, is that dagger?
That is spellcast roll to conjure throwing blades that strike all targets within very close range.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've also taken from the Arcana domain. You know you want to hear it. I took Unleash Chaos.
Awesome.
It's just blast everyone around you with raw energy.
Cool. At this stage, sorry Dan to interrupt the flow there, but I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to spend a fear, and I'm going to step in and I'm going to talk about player principle. One of the player principles, which is get your gear on. This highly industrialized world is a place where automatons are commonplace, and the Mechanolith itself is a clockwork cannon-covered castle on a scale beyond one person's understanding. Feel free to flavour any abilities through industrial or steampunk trappings, as long as it works with the fiction of the campaign and doesn't contradict another character's abilities. Questions. Which of your abilities is a mechanical addition to your armour or weapons? What personal flavour, flourish or style does your gear bear? So if you have one of those abilities, I would be more than willing to say that you have like little turret that opens up and like the daggers fly out of that, right? Now, I'm not Dan, so I'm not going to take those things away from you as an evil GM. I remember Dan in all our Star Wars games would always steal our starship. If you have a domain card that you have turned into like mech gear, then that can't be stolen from you. It's part of your character, right? So that wouldn't happen. But if you wanted to, Millie, you could have like, enhancements like punching frame round your hand or something, that kind of thing. So just consider that as you look at these cards. Dan, have you picked your domain cards?
Well, I've definitely picked one.
Okay, which one's that?
Because why wouldn't you take wall walk? I mean, this is a brilliant skill. Climb on walls and ceilings as walking on the ground. I love the idea of that.
Cool. So you just move as if on the ground, up walls and stuff. That's nifty.
So other things I can take are Gifted Tracker, Nature's Tongue, which you can speak with language of natural world, Rune Ward, which is basically a deeply personal trinket that you can do stuff with, Unleash Chaos, like Ben just mentioned, or Vicious Entangle. I think it's going to be Nature's Tongue.
What does that do?
Basically lets me talk to animals. You can speak the language of the natural world.
Oh.
Plants as well.
And plants.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to just be animals. Like, hey, plant, how's it going?
Yep.
I'm a plant.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, so we've got our domain cards. Excellent. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the other player principles. So you've all got those, and then we're going to do some connections between you. But we should also bear in mind that we will have Aaron and Rob. So what you can do, connections are kind of like a question you pose at another player, right? Hey, like the Bard has a good one. It's like, what do I do that annoys you all the time?
Fucking everything, mate.
Yeah. The game I started last night, the Bard is a fawn, ridgeborn bard with a mechanical bagpipes. Yeah, it's good.
I love him.
He winds it up. It's like steam powered. It's like it's very cool. And he said, "What do I do that annoys you?" And the guy was like, "Everything."
Yeah,
that. Yeah. That was cool. Okay, so player principles. There are 3 other player principles, just to bear in mind. One is the Mechanolith must endure. Everything that civilized folk do on this layer is in service of the Mechanolith and the supporting population. The impossibly huge fortification is the only thing standing between the forces of Throx and the World Mountain. Hang on, before I do this, I should probably read out the pitch. That might help. The Mechanolith, an ancient dwarven construction, encircles the World Mountain on the lowest layer of existence, the hellscape known as Zadumir. Long ago, Nalana, goddess of protection and strength, entrusted the dwarven people with the eternal defense of the World Mountain against the foul forces of the dark god Throx. This mechano-fortress, thousands of leagues long, has a vast array of defences that turn away the forces of evil, including realm defenders, automatons so huge they may battle the greatest of creatures that Throx might throw against it. Since the age of formation, it has stood protecting all the layers above, but now cracks have begun to emerge. In a Mechanolith campaign, you'll play heroes who are tasked with investigating faltering defences, strained alliances, insidious infiltrators, and potential traitors, all with the goal of preserving the Mechanolith. The tone and feel is adventurous, dramatic, epic, hot, not sexy hot, temperature hot. It can be sexy hot, although I don't really do romance as a GM. That's not really one of my fortes. Political, serious, sweeping. The themes are complacency versus incompetence. I work in a big organisation, so I see that a lot. Ends justify the means. Greater good, holding back hell, personal sacrifice. And then the touchstones are Attack on Titan, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, Mortal Engines, Pacific Rim, and Minas Tirith. Because the hub cities look like Minas Tirith, but just built into a big wall. Greater good. They're greater good.
They're great.
I'm not going to read all of the Mechanolith stuff, because I think I'll probably bore everyone who's watching. But I will read a little bit of it once we've got some of the connections going, or while you're thinking about your connections. Cool. So player principles. The Mechanolith must endure. The impossibly huge fortification is the only thing standing between the forces of Throx and the World Mountain. Ondrum's sanctity is key to the survival of the upper layers. If Zadumir forces were to gain access to the tunnel networks inside the mountain, Arlorn would be stormed by an army of darkness, the likes of which hasn't been seen since the Age of Challenge. Questions for everyone. What have you already sacrificed in the defense of the Mechanolith? Or, what role do you play as part of the forces protecting the World Mountain? Right, so have a think about that. The next principle is life on the edge of hell can be full of light. So even though the job of the hub cities, and your hub city is called Resolute Pattern, is to ensure the battlements are intact and the armaments are ready at a moment's notice, there is a lot of life and levity behind the wall. Such a large war machine needs a huge number of people and automatons to maintain it. Consequently, all the trappings of city life can be found, if with a shadow hanging over them. To compensate, the lights are shone a little brighter, the songs are sung louder, and taverns are merrier. Chain bastions, which I'll explain a little bit, experience the most difficult hardships out on the very front line, but they also have the strongest sense of camaraderie you are likely to experience anywhere on the World Mountain. So questions. What's your favourite pastime while you are not on duty or working? And do you have a favourite haunt, tavern or forge? Forges being such a big part of life. What's it called and where is it? Just for kind of an idea, I'm working on a map at the moment. I don't have one quite yet. But the wall is 1,000 feet tall, right? Behind the wall is kind of all the industrial war complex. And it's connected to the living area by rails, roads, transport lines. There's trade hubs in between. So this city is kind of like a big spread into the foot peaks and the valleys at the base of the World Mountain. Right, so it's big spread, big sprawl. People live nearer the World Mountain, and there's lots of mining, and all the elements are taken to the wall. All the industry's done, loads of forging, loads of stuff, all the barracks, all the military, and they guard the wall. You may know somewhere there that you like. You may know somewhere in town that you like. Yeah. Right, and the last principle to talk about is only heroes choose Zadumir. You have made the choice to stay or move to Zadumir to defend the Mechanolith. Not every citizen feels or acts the same way, though. Many are simply living out their life, living out their best life, living out their life in the best way they can. A few have started to believe that the cause is ultimately hopeless, and rumours stir in the corners of dark places. Some suspect that an even smaller number of people have fallen under the sway of Throx, chaos, or Oku, darkness. And then there's Jean, which is undeath, but he's more present somewhere else. And are actively working against you. Despite all of this, you have chosen to be here. So, questions. What could take you away from your home to come to such a place? And did you come here with any of your party members, or did you meet them here? So you will all know each other, Did you come here? Were you born here? Do you live here? Are you from another hub city? So, connections. Where are we? Here we go. Oh, that goes way too fast. Let me go up to the top. And where are we? Community, additional player guidance, character creation. Nope, that was the wrong thing to do. Here we go. I think connections are on your character sheet. Yeah.
I've got 3 questions.
So what we do is we go round everyone, and one at a time you pick a question and another player, and you ask them that question, right? And what you can do is you can say, I'm going to ask this question of Aaron or Rob, right? Aaron is going to be a Simian ranger, and I think Rob is intending to be a wizard or a bard. I'm not sure, something magical.
Dr. Simeon always, is he going to be?
So bear that in mind, right? So we'll start with Ben. Do you have a question that you wish to ask of someone who's here or not here? And we can bank that, and then we can, maybe note in it, asked so-and-so, and then drop a note in the Discord.
Yeah, I think I'll probably save one of the 3 questions, but I am going to open up, since Millie's opened the door to the bodyguard angle, I'm going to start with, why do you trust me so deeply?
So
my character idea is basically an elite mech pilot. Modified, the clank element is modifications done to
Are you
make
biomechanical?
A biomechanically edited pilot.
Cool.
So they're mostly elf, but all the plugs and stuff are intrinsic.
Yep.
And I'm thinking cutting edge. This isn't your mum's mech pilot steamware. This is weird crystal technology shit that we're not entirely
resonance crystals.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why? I don't know.
We can save the question, right? So that if you haven't got an answer for it right now, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a minute.
Just reiterate the question for us so we can.
Is why do you trust me so deeply?
Why do you trust me so deeply?
Why do I trust
Good one.
you?
And I've got another one for Dan as well.
Okay, here you go.
Which is the flip side of that. And what did I do that makes you cautious around me? Flamboyant, social, celebrity pilot. You're muted.
I'm talking and I'm muted, which means you didn't get my quippy.
It was amazing.
Right, okay, so I'm going to go. So your character is very flamboyant and gregarious, and my character is the complete opposite. So as a druid, all his kind of what little clothes he does wear are all kind of hide and buck. He's bare-chested. He's got a lot of.
Is everyone walking around naked in this party?
You said it was warm.
Yeah,
it is hot. It is hot. That's true. That is true.
He's he is a dwarf, so he's quite rotunded and bold.
Barrel-chested,
broad-shouldered and barrel-chested, and he's got lots of tattoos. But his hair's all kind of greased up, and he's got chalk on him, like in patterns and all that sort of very druidy vibes. Lots of fetishes hanging from his various clothes. He's a solitary guy.
No shit.
So he's everything that he wouldn't like.
Yeah, haute couture.
Yeah. So just being you.
Yeah, so simply being you and existing.
Okay.
I think is the answer there.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to share my third question for either Rob or Aaron.
And what's the question?
The question is, why do we keep our shared past a secret?
Ooh, I like that. That's
and I'm
good.
thinking I might not even know the answer to the question in character.
Oh, interesting.
They might be keeping something from me.
Okay, cool. Very good. Good stuff. Let's go to Dan.
Okay,
Have you got your connection questions?
I do. Under create connections.
Oh,
Here
sorry,
we go.
sorry to interrupt. Rob's just said in chat that he is going to be a wizard and Chothog returns. So he's going to play a
nice.
hobgoblin.
Chothog.
Go for it, Dan. Sorry.
No worries. Millie, please.
Oh no.
No, you're gonna like it. What animal do I say you remind me of?
I don't know. Let's think. Like, what animal? Like something small and stupid.
But he's
Something
chonk
cute.
as well. He's quite chonky.
I don't know. Yeah, like some sort of. I don't know.
Hedgehog.
Hedgehog
I was gonna say
or
hedgehog.
Pangolin.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pangolin.
Dwarves are
Pangolin.
tough, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, just
And they are
walking
awesome.
around like.
How do you spell
like,
pangolin?
Pangolin.
Pangolin.
Little pangolin.
It's a cousin of a violin.
Okay.
Very cool. I like it.
Um,
Need to save a question for Aaron as well, right? And Aaron and Rob will have questions for you guys as well. So.
Okay, I'm gonna save mine for Aaron and Rob.
So just let us know. Tell us what those questions are. So we
What
can.
did you confide in me that makes me leap into danger for you every time?
Oh, interesting.
And what affectionate nickname have you given me? Pangolin.
Pangolin.
Sweaty.
Sweaty
Sweaty.
pangolin.
Yeah.
Sweaty.
Pickle. Sorry. The Cleric's Canticle books by R.A. Salvatore. There's a dwarf druid. He believes he's a druid. It's second edition AD&D, so he can't be a druid because there can't be druids. But he dyes his hair green and he has a stick and he calls it his shillelagh.
Oh, I remember that.
And then at the end, he actually does druid magic, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Anyway, Millie, over to you for
Alright.
connections.
Connections. All right. So, all right. So let's see. Right, Dan. I rely on you for something important during our travels together. What is it, and how do you feel about it?
Something important that you rely upon.
Sports massage.
Regular access to homemade alcohol.
Okay.
Nice, like it.
Like moonshine or something. It's not
Fermenting,
fermenting,
cactus booze.
There's an experience
Cactus-
for you then, Dan. 'cause
Cactus
you were looking
moonshine
for
is lovely.
you were looking for experiences.
Yeah, brewer.
Brewer. Yeah.
That could
Yeah,
come in handy
okay,
in
I'm
various
gonna do
different
that.
ways because you could taste things,
Sure,
the mixture of things, chemistry kind of element.
Or drink you under the table.
And
doing that.
do you like that I keep coming to you for this moonshine, or is it like annoying? Like, how do you feel about that? I rely on you.
I'm happy to share the moonshine because I haven't previously done a lot of sharing, so it's a new learning for me.
Oh,
I'm enjoying that.
Camaraderie, a little bit of. Nice
that's
to share.
lovely.
Oh.
Cool.
All right. So for our flamboyant mech pilot, I still haven't forgiven you for something you said to me. What was it, and why did you say it?
Oh. Yeah, I think it would probably be something along the lines of trying to be nice, but being really insensitive about it, like offering to get you some clothes.
Oh,
so that you
like
could fit in and look more
Some larger
respectable.
underwear.
maybe you should put some full pants on.
Yeah. Chain
Put some
mail
pants on
pants.
if you wish to continue fighting evil today.
Yeah,
Because I've put so in the description it has things like clothes that are
sure.
my clothes. I've already written in there they're handed down and handmade. Like so,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and
So, so
it would have been like, oh, you can't wear that old thing. Here, wear this instead. Deeply
okay,
insulting your ancestors without meaning to.
yeah. So you said it just because you
Yes.
said it.
Just yeah,
All right, excellent.
not out of
Awesome.
malice, just out of ignorance.
Yeah. I was like thinking back to what was the question you asked me? Why do I trust you implicitly? I think I trust your character implicitly because I don't think there's much more to them. Like there's nothing to dissect.
Just superficial. Yeah.
Just
One
everything's-
dimensional.
Yeah. There's nothing to not trust about you because you
Like it.
whether that's true or not, we don't know. But yeah, I trust
We
you
will find
implicitly.
out as we play, won't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So I've saved one for Rob. Dan saved one each for Rob and Aaron.
Yep.
So whoever doesn't get the other question, I've got what is the one thing we're both afraid of?
Okay. That's cool. So we've got some questions for the other guys, and they will then, on the Discord, we'll figure out their characters and they'll have some questions for you potentially back. Right? So cool. Okay. So we've got class, we've got ancestry and community, we've done our traits, we've got our equipment, we've got our experiences, we've got our domain cards, we've got our connections. So we've pretty much got everything that we need for our characters. Now I just have to bore you with lore for about 5 minutes while I just talk to you about what's going on in the setting of the game. Okay, here's the overview, just so people get a bit of a taste, and then I'll read out the inciting incident, right? And then we can talk about our characters a bit more, the setting, and if there's anything in it you want to like change about your characters, or questions you have, or I had questions about what's your favorite place, where do you hang out, we can create those kinds of places together and talk about where they might be, that kind of thing. Okay, here we go. I'll try not to take too long. At the end of the Age of Formation, the Dark Gods arrived on the World Mountain. The graces of these was Throx, the raw chaos that threatens all existence. When Throx's destruction was proven nearly impossible, Ondrum realized that it must prepare for endless war. It called the dwarves and Jotun and bade these newborn folk to erect the Mechanolith, a powerful frame spreading from the lowest to the highest level of the World Mountain. This machine set in motion a clock that never stops, keeping Ondrum eternal. It joined the defensive wall on Zadumir to the glorious city of knights Yondengrid at the very summit of Yaneth. This arcane and technological wonder made the mountain a citadel the size of a planet, ready to take on the dark powers from all sides. Today that network of machinery has deteriorated due in equal parts to the ravages of time and the jealous conquest of the evil powers on other layers. And so it is that when people talk of the Mechanolith, they generally mean the wall on Zadumir, and the vast machines that extend from it outwards to battle the enemy, and inwards to the mountain on that layer. Few know or remember that this machine enabled the hammers of the stellar artisan in Yondengrid to forge the first realm defender, an age ago. Now the defenders shore up the wall and its armaments and send envoys to the upper layers of the World Mountain to ask for aid. Great hub cities built into the reverse side of the wall enable the great war machine to keep fighting. The hub city of Resolute Pattern has stood since the creation of the wall, and many of its buildings show signs of age, even if crafted with ancient dwarven techno-magic. But it has withstood 12,753 direct assaults by Throx's forces, and every member of its citizenry is proud of this figure. The local footpeaks provide ample cover for the common people to live and work. Vast mining complexes spread out into the mountains. Hundreds of farms struggle in the semi-arid climate across the slopes. Taverns, temples, smiths, merchants, and all the walks of life can be found. All feed into the vast fortification machinery built in tiers into the wall. So imagine Minas Tirith on the wall. Thousands of soldiers, sappers, engineers, war wizards, unit bards, and more move about the arc of the Mechanolith that lies under the auspices of the War Council of Resolute Pattern. This council is currently led by Tharanil Broadstone, an old dwarf who rose up through the Iron Spine blacksmith foundry. With 6 chained bastions and 4 stalactite bastions, Resolute Pattern is well equipped to deal with invasion. The council has taken on a tactic of regular rotation of forward station, the chained bastion placed out at full chain length into the middle chaos. Chain bastions are basically giant castles on wheels,
Nice.
that wheel out from the wall into the chaos to be like an outpost, and it has huge chains that lead into the wall, and if there's an emergency they can basically have these huge machines crank them back into the wall, right?
They play the Thunderbirds music.
They do, absolutely. Yeah, and the palm trees go down, so otherwise they can't get through. So these chained bastions are a big part of it. They send them out, and they're kind of like their own little fortifications, and they sit out in the chaos. They got supplies for like 3 years, and they have all the things the city would have in their little bastion, but they're kind of out there on their own. They fight the little armies that turn up. When a big army turns up, they blow the horns, and they get wheeled back in. And if a really big army turns up, then they activate the Realm Defender. Right. Okay. The chain bastion placed out at full chain length into middle chaos, beyond the thin stretch of ancient battlefield before the wall, known as the Ashen Breeze. Rotating the bastion has proven good for morale, and the remaining 5 are on constant alert, with many units of cavalry, land and air, scouting and watching for early signs of enemy troop movements. They also keep an eye out for any enemy strongholds that might hold chaos engines, foul machines that spew out mutated and mechanically upgraded beasts and monsters. To say the entire city is in a constant state of alert is to underplay things. Every day there is some physical conflict out on the Chaos Wastes. Although the endless war is mostly low-level, long-term conflict, there comes a time when a fortress hasn't been cleared for long enough that a major force presents itself. Or one of Throx's chosen avatars makes an attempt to destroy a hub city and break through to the Mechanolith beyond. In such times, the Realm Defenders are activated. These titanic mechanical robots are piloted by a team of highly skilled individuals and powered by a mountain of mundane and magical fuel. They bristle with weapons for long-range engagements and troops ready to engage in ground combat. Their armaments are equivalent to that of some chained bastions. Seldom are they activated, and when they are, it's a mixed moment of excitement, awe, wonder, and dread. Though seeing the Realm Defender fight is a sight few get to witness, it also means that the amassed legions of hell are knocking on your door. Representatives of the 6 most powerful factions in the city and the Knight General of the Army of the Resolute make up the War Council. The iron-spined blacksmiths say that the fire at the heart of their oldest forge was lit the day the wall was finished. The Stone Spur Union is the largest collection of masons, miners and builders in the city, fueling much of Resolute Pattern's industry. The Department of Agriculture and Rationing sends a representative to keep the leaders apprised of the city's food and stores situation. The Radiant Cascade is a collective of faith leaders and priests who pave the way for divine magic to reach Zadumir from the gods of the upper layers. Arc 17 is the logistics conglomerate that is responsible for traffic of goods between Resolute Pattern and its neighbouring hub cities, as well as most of the messaging and delivery of goods around the city. The Ordnance Tradition is the smallest of the council seat holders, but extremely powerful, with their evokers charging up many of the wall's defences. Citizens and tradespeople of other less notable guilds or groups often treat with the council seat that most closely aligns with their goals in order to have their voices heard on this larger stage. There are many ways defenders can step forward and become heroes in such a place. There is also just as much chance, if not more, of dying an early death. The endless war rages on, and people try to keep faith and good cheer in the shadow of a titanic conflict that will never end. Duty and the safety of all living things props them up and gives them the strength to keep fighting. Yet some falter, some doubt, and in that doubt betrayal and dishonesty take root and fester. The War Council has created the Order of Specialists, a group of brave souls with a wide set of skills who are charged with the defence of the Mechanolith in a less direct way. Their purpose is to find any threats, anything compromising the wall, and end it. Perhaps directly, or through illumination to the council or beyond. These brave individuals must face some of the most dangerous and insidious challenges on Zadumir. So you guys are members of the Order of Specialists. So that is how you're all together. And you have, because you're player characters and you've got this magic powers, right? You are like above and beyond the normal troops and the normal citizenry. And you've been drafted into this, or made your way, or bribed into it, or however you want to get there, right? Become part of this Order of Specialists. Maybe you're super famous and you want to prove how cool you are, you know, and then show off your piloting skills. One day get in a realm defender, you know, that kind of stuff. You know. So that's the overview of the campaign. There's a load of distinctions. I'm not going to go into too much of that now. It's a bit too much stuff to go into right now. But I'll just read out the inciting incident. It's not too long. Just read this out for you guys. And then I think we'll talk about combat and actions, right? Because it's kind of something to think about for the spotlight and things like that. So, last boring bit. The inciting incident. Recently, the stalactite bastion, so a big stalactite has been hollowed out and it's got a castle in it, and 3 big chains go from the wall up to this bastion so that things can climb up and down it. The stalactite bastion of Nalana's spear has gone silent. Automatons taking supplies up the chain tether have not returned. 2 engineering teams have been sent to see if they were faulty, but they too have not come back or sent word. Supply manager Jemba is impatient, waiting for assistance so they can complete their resupply of foodstuffs to the bastion. They reported the situation to the council. The council passed this quickly to the diviners of the ordnance tradition. When Duluvan was unable to scry within the bastion's halls, further suspicion rose. She provided a report to the council at the same time that a large force was seen approaching Forward Station. Another chain bastion is detaching from the wall as we speak to extend alongside Forward Station and provide support. All available supplies and forces have been redirected by Captain Lycos of the Ashen Breeze Infantry to this effort. He has informed the council that he cannot spare resources to investigate Nalana's spear with a legion on the horizon. Sir Talfor of the Peak, military patron of the Order of Specialists, has called for a group of adventurers, to investigate why the stalactite bastion has gone silent. Sir Talfor is an older knight who was sworn into his order in the ruins of Yondengrid at the top of the Wild Mountain. He has chosen you to undertake this task. A rather grumpy foundry master, Fornin Barrelbeard, guess what ancestry he is, has asked that you take a case of runic blasting charges with you. The defenders of Nalana's spear were preparing another stalactite as a potential weapon against incoming armies. So often they blow up the connection to the underhang and drop, as you were saying, Ben. Things fall down from the underhang.
Oh, good. This time we get to do it.
Yeah. And it seems now would be a good time to make this happen. The Sky Herald, Dockmaster of Nalana's spear, is an orc called Tesk. He is the arbiter of all comings and goings on the platforms of the stalactite. He will be your contact, but a busy man. If all is clear and merely a delayed automaton and sleeping engineers, send word, but we suspect that foul things await you. An automaton platform awaits you at the sky tether, each of its huge chain links the size of a house. The giant robot is dwarfed by the tether, which disappears into the ash and smoke that nestles between the wall and the underhang. So there's something going on with a stalactite bastion, and you guys have been tasked with going up there on this automaton robot mech thing to investigate. Right. So that's where we're going to start the adventure next week. Okay. Cool. So, do we want to summarize characters? Do we want to talk about combat? Should we talk about combat? Because that might be quite useful for people to understand how...
Might be better to do when there's actually a combat happening.
Yeah, maybe. I think that might be a bit late. So very briefly, there is something called the spotlight, right? So instead of initiative, you don't have initiative, you don't roll to see who goes when. And really, combats aren't combats, it's just combat actions at certain times, and you can flow into a combat and out of a combat.
I wish I'd seen your face when you found out there wasn't initiative.
That's cool. That's fine. It's not a wheel. And what happens is, when the player, the idea is that the spotlight is on the PCs, right, to begin with, and unless there's some sort of surprise or I use fear to initiate something, the spotlight is with the PCs. And if you roll with hope, the spotlight stays with the PCs. But if you roll with fear, the spotlight comes to me. Now there's a alternative rule in the game where spotlight management can be governed by the game master, because what can happen is I can say, right, who wants to go? And everyone go, oh, I don't, you can go. Oh, you can go. Oh, you can go. Oh, you can go. And it can be useful for me to direct who's in the spotlight. Yeah, so it may be that you get into a situation and I say, you walk into the room, Millie's at the front being the brawler, being physical bodyguarding, and I say, okay, you go in as bad guys. Millie, you've got the spotlight. What are you going to do? And then Millie will start to describe what she's doing. We'll then deploy the mechanics, and then I will describe what happens after. Now, if Millie rolls with hope, you guys keep the spotlight. If she rolls with fear, then I get the spotlight. What can happen as well is there's no kind of set, everyone has to have a go, right? And if something really cool is happening and Millie's building up to something, I might say, okay, Millie, go again. Yeah, your momentum carries you. What are you doing now? Right? And sometimes it's cool to have one person, maybe have one or two, maybe even three goes in a row, because they're building up to something really cool. Yeah. So there's a certain amount about spotlight management that goes on. When I get the spotlight, I don't have to activate a bad guy. I can do lots of different GM moves, right? So I can do soft moves, I can do hard moves. Some of them might be things like, you hear noises of reinforcements running up from behind, right? You're fighting in the corridors, and you hear noise in the adjoining room. There's footfalls of people. You can hear the clash of steel. They're drawing their blades. They're coming down the corridor. I don't attack you, but I change the situation, and I change the environment. I change the fiction and move the story on. So there's a threat, and you now know that there's going to be potentially more bad guys coming. And then I'll say, right. But at that point, I might pick someone to pass the spotlight to, or I might say it's back to you guys. Who's going, right? So the combat's slightly different, and it's supposed to be sort of narrative and cinematic. I'm looking forward to that style of combat. It's the same with other actions. If you're in a negotiation, you might have abilities that you're using. You might want to make a roll. You might do really well, and I say, right, you've done really well. You've realised that they are really responding to when you're talking about this. How do you want to take advantage of that? How do you want to go forward with that to emphasise that, right? So it's all about the fiction. What's working with the fiction? And one other thing to kind of just signpost is you can help people in this game. So if someone's doing an action, you can say, I want to help them, and you spend a hope, and they gain. I think they get a dice to add to their roll, right? But you can only help someone if it fits in with the story, right? So you can't just say, "Oh, I'll give you my bonus," yeah, because that's like it's not mechanics led. You would have to say, "I'm going to go over and." If it's an athletics role, they're trying to climb up something. I'm going to go over and I'm going to hoist them up. I'm going to give them a push. I'm going to get their foot's on my head, and I'm trying to push them up. And I'd say, right, you spend a hope. You've now helped. They can now get a bonus to their role. Right. So it kind of works like that. So there are things we need to think about. And I'm sure our viewers and some die-hard Daggerheart and PBTA people out there will probably say, "Oh, you're not doing things quite right to begin with," but we'll see how we go, and we haven't really played this before, so it'll be a good learning curve. Cool. Okay. Right. So we've got our characters. Ben, do you want to just summarize your character for us?
Yes. Okay. So Artemis Celebria was exposed at a young age to a mysterious technological device that bonded with her.
Oh.
Is the source of power and also problem. It's led to her having this intrinsic connection to the realm defenders that she's never really been able to put to full use.
Cool.
But, depending on whether you'd allow it or not, maybe once soloed a realm defender home. Didn't fight it. Didn't fight it, managed to get it back.
Yeah.
Which gave her a little celebrity cachet,
sure.
Even though she's not a dwarf and not trained crew.
Cool.
So she's down here in Zadumir because she's got some questions about her past that she's not entirely sure about the answers to, but she knows that she can make the machines dance to her whim, and she wants to use that to serve the good people of Zadumir and protect the wall.
Cool. Awesome. Millie?
Look, I'm just a big old Yolkin, right?
Brilliant.
Look, that's just it. It's easy to, look, I'm big, so I get hit, right? But I can hit them back. And I think at some point he's seen something he should, he's set up to fail kind of situation.
Okay.
That, what's that question? Who have you seen and what, I wrote it down, honest. But that, he's seen something he shouldn't have.
Oh, the small dark truth.
Yeah, the small dark truth.
Yeah, okay.
He may not necessarily have put two and two together yet. He's not dumb.
Sure.
His presence is his worst sort of thing. So, this is -1. But he's definitely he's put in two and two together.
Cool.
He's only up to 3 at the minute, but he'll get to 4 soon. Right?
Wicked.
And when he does, but in the meantime, that person has, by promotion way, put him in the most dangerous situation they can.
Cool.
And also, if he does fail, then that'll discredit whatever. When he eventually gets to 4, that'll discredit that. Because look, he was obviously there to ruin the order. I put my faith in him, sort of thing.
Cool.
So that's it. I'm just here to stop. I'll get you get in the way. Oh look, there's a pretty one. Yeah, I'll probably stand in front of that one. All right, fine. That kind of stuff.
Cool. Okay.
That's Gareth.
And Dan, our dwarven druid.
Dwarven druid. Torgrim is his name. He's a survivalist, a tracker. He does his part by scouring and war scouting through the various different environments on this side and both sides of the wall. Like many people that live down here, your families have served on the wall, and they've done their bit, and he's not got any because they've all died. So
Okay.
he has an intrinsic understanding of the sacrifices that have been made down here
Okay.
to keep the rest of the world safe, and he's fully prepared to do it himself.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Okay, right. Well, thank you guys. I think we've got some very interesting characters already, and I look forward to seeing what Aaron and Rob bring to the team as well. And next time, assuming we get all the characters sorted out on Discord, which we will do, we will start with the first session of our actual Daggerheart campaign on the Mechanolith. So thank you to my players. Thank you to our viewers for putting up with a bit of a lore dump at the beginning there, unfortunately, but useful to, I think, to share a bit of the setting before we go into the game. And I'm very excited about starting this. I'm already creating things for this, so I'm quite excited by this game, so it's very cool. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to go and check out all our social media. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell so you always get the notifications. Join us on our Discord, Gartopia, where we're talking about this game and other games and many other things. And we will see you next week for more Daggerheart. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.